So, come on, what is the message going to be? What are the highlights going to be? What is going to be happening next week?
Well, first of all, I've just watched your weather forecast and I'm bitterly regretting leaving my coat in Westminster. But in all seriousness, the last 18 months have been dominated by rightly delivering Brexit and securing the deal with the EU, our unprecedented economic support during COVID that's protected over 11 million jobs, and our vaccination rollout that has allowed us to start that sensible and pragmatic move back to normality. But now, as we do move back to normality, this conference gives us an opportunity to set out our plans for delivering on the people's priorities. That's the pay rise for the hard-working backbone of this country, particularly around the levelling up agenda, lowering crime, boosting school funding, our record investment in the NHS, our long-term plan for social care, sustainable reform, and making sure that we are a country that is open for trade. These, as we return to normality, this is all about maximising opportunity up and down the country.
Difficult backdrop at the moment. You know, if you've been watching our programme, which you will have been this morning, whether it's the HGV drivers, whether it is the petrol and the panic. So what message do you want the public to take away from the conference?
Well, that we are on the side of hardworking people. You are right, there are a number of challenges as the global economy readjusts as it returns to normality. There are distribution challenges right across the world, not unique to the UK, but specifically I've seen your footage around the fuel issues that have gone on, and that's why we are going to increase testing capacity, 50,000 more a year. We've got the skills bootcamp to get 3,000 more HGV drivers quickly into the system, as well as providing some temporary visas of about 5,000 to take us through to Christmas. We are on the side of people. We understand these challenges and we've got to get on and try and support as much as we can to return to normality.
So, Justin, I'm a floating voter. So, you know, I literally have voted for everyone. And I want to know what you're going to do to appeal to me. Because when I think about the Conservative Party, I think about a party that's for liberalism, free speech, and, you know, self-governing to a certain extent, not governed by the state. I'm not really getting that at the moment. Is that going to change? Are the Conservatives going to become Conservative again?
Well, you're certainly an important person. You're the 8% that decides elections each time. And we do. I mean, it's a serious point that we have to make sure that our positive agenda is translated into tangible differences, particularly around the levelling up. And one of the key bits post-Brexit, an opportunity that is presented, is that we can move away from that high immigration, low wage economy, making sure that hardworking families up and down the country have more money in their pocket, can have career progression, and can actually fulfil their potential in the areas they live in, rather than the structural problems we had where people felt the need to move down south. And that is what we are setting out, and that's through the 70+ trade deals that we've set up, supporting businesses and supporting workers with those pay rises through our changes to the national living wage, income tax thresholds. If you're on a full-time national living wage, you're now over £4,000 a year better off under a Conservative government. These are the tangible positive things that shows people that the Conservative government is on your side.
But I think, you know, Justin, Tonia makes a very good point there. Are we going to have to state what the Conservative Party stands for? I believe in low taxation, and yet we've got the highest tax rate now since the Second World War. I believe in freedoms, freedom of expression, freedom of choice, freedom of the individual, and we've become very status with emergency powers, what we've done through lockdown and COVID. You know, what is the Conservative Party going to be saying to the public at this really important conference midway through our sort of parliamentary term in office?
Well, I think the points you raise are no different to what we still believe. That is our instincts. It goes to the core of the Conservative Party, but we cannot get away from the fact that we have had the unprecedented challenges of COVID and the incredible impact it's had on the economy. The recent increases in taxes, regrettable that they are, were because of the impact on the economy. We had to raise the money to be able to clear the backlogs in the NHS to make sure that people could get the treatment and support that they were requiring. But we are instinctively a low taxing government. We want to support businesses. We want to support people into work. Our actual unprecedented support during COVID has meant we've now got record vacancies in the economy. Now, at the beginning of COVID, there was a presumption that millions of people would be made redundant. That has not been the case. We are seeing wages rise, and we are supporting businesses to make sure that people can fulfil their potential in their own local areas.
Justin, that's fine, but, you know, the reality is that it wasn't COVID, it was this government's reaction to COVID and locking us down without really thinking it through that have caused a lot of the problems that we have in the country at the moment. And just to take you back to the NHS, as I said, as a floating voter, what I'd like to see is the government take actions to restructure the NHS. I don't know how much more money you can throw at something that's not working and failing, because I'm part of them. My mother-in-law's in hospital at the moment because she couldn't see her doctor during the lockdown because of the lockdown things that you did, not COVID itself. And she is now not in a great state. And I don't want to chuck more money at the NHS. I want the NHS to be reorganised. And that's where I would like this government to stand up, you know, and really...
It's like, get a grip. Is that, I could see your hand movement there.
No, because it's throwing money at it. It's not helping anymore.
So Justin, this action here was, get a grip.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, I think it's two parts. First of all, we do have the immediate backlogs that need to be supported. These are people's lives that we have to make sure. So rightly, we put an additional £36 billion over the next 3 years and a £5.4 billion over the next 6 months to deal specifically with those backlogs. And that will then go alongside the £33.9 billion increase by 2023-24 to record levels. But you are right, money alone is only part of that. We do need that structural reform. And that was actually set out this morning with our intentions to integrate better between NHS and adult social care. Now, we will all see this where people have had treatment in the hospital but then are delayed with their discharges because of the local care provision isn't lined up. We need that better integration because that will deliver more efficiencies, better care for people, and actually will then help with better health outcomes.
Finally, we saw Keir last week taking on the Corbynistas. Do we get a sense now that we're going to have a leader of an opposition who is going to take the Labour Party forward? Are we now going to see a proper, credible opposition?
Well, actually, and it seems strange to say this as the Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, we do actually need a good opposition. Good governments have good oppositions. You know, from your time as a Secretary of State, you will up your game if you have good opposition. But I just don't think Keir has got it in him. That conference was just endless infighting. There was almost unprecedented levels of hatred between what are meant to be a team. They are not ready for government. They've got a long way to go yet.
Justin Tomlinson, thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.